Hey, you want to get hitched?
You'll never get hitched wearing that hat.
Well, then it's a good thing we're already hitched.
Speaking of getting hitched, we have a checklist for almost everything we do when it comes to the RV, and one of our most important checklists is our hitching checklist. In today's video, we're going to cover the steps that we take to hook up our tow vehicle to our Grand Design fifth wheel RV. Oh boy. We're going to go over the steps that we take when we hook up our RV to our tow vehicle. We're kind of going to go under the assumption that this is a travel day, but the RV's already been packed up and all set to go. Everything's packed and ready to go for travel day. So all we have left to do is to hook it up to our tow vehicle.
Right.
Now the very first thing we do with the RV, once we're ready to hook up to the tow vehicle, is we're going to adjust our Kingpin. And what this does is, on our setting we have something called a hitch height. And what we're going to do is we're going to either raise or lower the Kingpin to the last setting, basically when the RV was being disconnected from the tow vehicle. Now what this also does is our back four stabilizers are going to come up off the ground. We're only going to have the front two stabilizers, and they'll either adjust the Kingpin up or down.
Okay, so while the stabilizers are going up, why don't you tell them about the scare we had a few months back?
Yeah, so this is probably a kind of an important tip. Now, it only happened to us once, but on a
once was enough.
Yeah, definitely. Once on a travel day, we were adjusting our Kingpin to hitch height, and luckily for us, we were just standing here waiting for it to level off.
Yeah.
But what happened was, and we still don't know why, and it's only happened to us once, our jacks just kept going up and up and up, or I should say that the RV kept going up and up and up. The jacks kept extending to the point where the front of the RV actually started to sway a little bit. Yep. Luckily, we were standing here, we were able to hit the down arrow to start bringing the RV back down again. So really, as a tip or something that we do all the time now, whenever we adjust our RV, no matter if it's to tow heights or bringing everything in or just leveling, we don't go anywhere. We stand right here until it's all done.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was
lesson learned. It only has to happen one time.
Yes. That was a little too much swaying for us.
So now our back four stabilizers are up. The Kingpin is set to hitch height. Now what we have to do is get the truck ready or prepped to hook up to the RV. Now that we have the RV set to the proper hitch height, the next thing we wanted to do is get the truck ready to back up to the RV. This is pretty simple. All we're going to do at this point is put the tailgate down. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to check our hitch, our fifth wheel hitch. We want to make sure that the claws are open, that the hitch is open. If it's not, at this point I go ahead and open it up since I'm already back here. Now this is actually, it seems very simple, but people do forget to put their tailgate down. This is again a very important step. So our tailgate's down, our fifth wheel hitch is open. Now we're ready to back the truck up to the RV. Now that we have the RV ready to go, we have our tailgate down in our tow vehicle. We also have our fifth wheel hitch opened up, ready to accept the Kingpin. The next step is to back your tow vehicle almost to the Kingpin. And what we're trying to do at this point is we really just want to get lined up. We want to make sure the Kingpin is at the proper height. Now when we do this, it's really nice to have two people. Dina will have a walkie-talkie, I have a walkie-talkie. Dina will stand just off to the side. You never want to have a second person stand between your tow vehicle and the RV. Always stand off to the side. And she'll guide me back as I go, tell me if I need to go left or right, and tell me when to stop. And again, I'm trying to stop just when the Kingpin assembly maybe just gets to the fifth wheel hitch or just before it, just so we can do one last minute adjustment. So that's what we're going to do now. You ready for me to back up?
I'm ready. Come on back.
You're about 10 feet. You're off center, turn slightly to driver's side. Slow, 5 feet, 2 feet. Good, right there. Stop.
Hopefully you can see we're lined up and we're at the proper height right now. But the reason why we stop in this position is it allows us a couple things. If our Kingpin assembly was a little bit too high, it would give me a chance to lower the RV back down a little bit to the proper height or make any minor adjustments. The other thing that we want to do while we're here, we can make sure we're aligned properly. We can also double check, make sure our hitch is open. But what we're really looking for at this stage is we want our RV to ride up on top of our hitch. We don't want the RV, if it's too loose, maybe when the claws clamp around the Kingpin, maybe they only connect or go around the very bottom of the Kingpin. If we can get the RV to ride up on top of our hitch, then we know we should have a really good connection. So from here, we're lined up. The RV is actually pushing down just a little bit onto our fifth wheel hitch, and I think we're ready to hook up.
Once Danny backs the truck into the Kingpin, we visually check with a flashlight that the jaws are actually properly secured around the Kingpin, the lock bar is locked, and then we put the safety pin in the lock bar.
The next step that we do is we hook up our breakaway cable and our electrical cable. Now a lot of people take their breakaway cable and they just hook it back to the hitch. I really don't like doing that because if something ever happened to my hitch, if for some reason my hitch broke free of my truck, the breakaway cable is not going to do any good. So what we like to do is actually attach it to the truck. We usually use one of these tie downs. We'll put it in there, and now we're good. So once we have our breakaway cable hooked up, our electrical cable hooked up, all we do now is put up our tailgate. Now that we have the RV attached to our tow vehicle, there's one last safety check we want to do, and this is an extremely important check. I can guarantee you, if you go out on YouTube and do some searches, you'll find some RVers who didn't do this check and they dropped their RV on the back of their tow vehicle. Very, very important step. It's called a pull test, and what we're going to do is we're really just going to see if we can set the brakes on our RV and basically get in our tow vehicle and see if we can pull away from the RV. We're just trying to verify that our fifth wheel hitch is properly attached to our RV. Now what we're going to do back here on the RV is we're going to actually raise our front landing gear up off the ground just about an inch, just barely off the ground, just enough there's no pressure on it. The RV doesn't have any weight on the front landing gear. All the weight is on the pickup truck. The reason for this is if by chance we didn't connect properly, our RV's not connected to the pickup truck properly, when we go to pull away, we don't want that RV to drop down. We don't want to hit the back of the pickup truck, and we really don't want to land all the way down on the ground. So by being just an inch off the ground, that's the most it could fall, would be 1 inch. So we're going to raise our front landing gear about an inch off the ground, then we'll go into the truck and do our pull test. Now that the RV is ready to go, we're going to go ahead and do our pull test. Now the way that I was taught to do a pull test is I use my right foot to put on the brake. Now the reason for this is if I use my left foot, my right foot would be over by the gas, and you do have a potential of maybe slipping, hitting your gas, and you really don't want to do that. So my right foot is on the brake, my right hand is squeezing the trailer brakes. Now what this does is it actually locks up the trailer brakes. Remember, we're trying to see if we can pull our tow vehicle away from the RV. Right now my right foot is on the tow vehicle brakes, my right hand is squeezing the trailer brakes. I'm going to take my left hand, put the tow vehicle in drive. Now that we're in drive, I'm going to take my foot off of the tow vehicle brake and just let it try to roll forward, see if it will actually roll. If it does, we have a problem. Hopefully it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so we did our check. I took my foot off the brake. The truck didn't go anywhere. You really don't need to apply gas. You know, most vehicles start to roll by themselves anyways. So we have a good safety check, a good pull test, and I think we're ready to go. The last step we have to do is to retract all the landing gear on the RV. It's really as simple as that. Now there are some steps that we did leave out in this video. If this was a normal travel day, there's things we would do like make sure our mirrors are extended on our tow vehicle, make sure our TPMS system is up and running and reading the tire pressure in all 6 of our RV tires. We have a GPS in the truck. We make sure our new location is plugged into the GPS. We reset our trip meter. We make sure our airbags are inflated to the proper PSI. And just FYI for us, it happens to be 55 PSI.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of travel day steps we left out, but hopefully this gives you a really good idea on how to hook up a 5th wheel to your tow vehicle.
And last but not least, let's not forget Rodeo to make sure she's done with all her potty breaks for a while.
And me.
Oh yeah, and you too. We hope you enjoyed today's video. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to hit the red bell, and leave us any comments or questions below. We'd love to hear from you guys.
And remember, always live life to the fullest.